hello, and we are back to another session of Shit Happens. It's actually supposed to be the last one, but my guest is not yet here, so I'm gonna be hopeful, and hopefully she's running late. But in the meantime, since this is the last one, I was actually also trying to support a friend and be on a okay, I had to make sure that I sent my guest the email to the link the link to this session, because I remember I did not do that with Brian, so I just wanted to make sure. But it looks like on my sent inbox I did send it yesterday, so yay. But also shout out to Stacy, who's having an event today, the New Jersey, New Yorker podcaster meetup, which is was happening at 6:30 to 8:30, and I haven't found the link yet. Hopefully I will be able to catch it after this. But my guest is here, and I just want to say I'm so proud of myself. I've been getting my to-do list for this week going, and I'm left with 2 shit. And I did 3 of the things I was dragging to do. But before I continue taking all the time, let me bring this incredible guest who I met for the first time last year at Afros in Algiers, and I just loved her energy and her vibe, and I was just like, I want to stay connected with you. And I was so happy to see her at Podfest as well. And she's just an incredible human being who we're gonna get into all the amazing stuff she does, because she is a motherfucking award-winning producer. Okay, so let's put some respect to Miss Latrice. The Shit Happens. How you doing, baby?
There we go. Hi.
How you doing? I was
Hello.
about to take at this, like.
Listen, I am so sorry for my tardy. My computer was giving me a hard time, and which is not an excuse. I apologize. I definitely apologize. But
It's
hi.
it's all right, baby. You made it, and before even 5 minutes, I've had people a little bit late. I feel like I jinxed myself when I named this segment "Shit Happens." So it's like shit actually happens. Like.
Yes. Shit always happens. It seems like if nothing else happens, shit is going to happen. Yes.
I swear, and that's the thing. I like whenever shit happens, like whether electronic or to do with mic and sound and Wi-Fi. It's always that I have another podcaster, because it's more easier for them to understand than an actual, like, people will be understanding, but a fellow podcaster understands because it's shit we go through every day, however much prepared you are.
Yes. Like I think that's why I think it's so important to like have relationships and connections within the industry. Like as a podcaster, it's just certain things that only other podcasters are going to be able to understand. Like it's just, it's I don't know, it's kind of like an unwritten kind of thing, where we get each other even when like maybe like most of the outside world just does not.
Exactly. So amen to us, amen to podcasters for understanding the struggles. And also, y'all, if you're not podcasters, just understand that the struggles are real when it comes to electronics. You can be prepared as much as you want. It's gonna stop when it wants to stop.
And I mean, that's it and that's all, right? Like that's it and that is all. So, but I'm very excited to be here with you. I'm very much looking forward to, whatever comes out of this conversation. So, because you and I haven't had a whole lot of time to just talk to each
I
other,
know.
like it's always at an event. And so we're,
And all
it's
up and up, never like, let's
yeah,
see.
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to just, getting to know you a little bit better and having this conversation.
And look at that, we're doing it live. I like that. Like, what's more personal than just putting your shit out in live?
Yes, yes. Let's
By
trauma
the
bond.
right. By the way, you look amazing. Okay,
Oh, thank you.
you're
Thank you so
glowing.
much. I appreciate it. Life has been kind of rough the last couple years. I talked a little bit about that at Afros and Audio. I think anybody who follows me, you all know my dad passed last year, and that was very difficult for me. And so really struggled with that emotionally. So I'm finally starting to feel like I'm on the other side of just like that really difficult part of the grief. And I mean, I still miss my daddy, that's
Of
my daddy,
course.
but I'm not in the same headspace that I was. And so I'm really, happy for that. I'm very excited about that because, I'm getting an opportunity to finally, like, all of the ideas that I've had, things that I've been wanting to do, that I just was too emotionally spent to even like make the effort. I feel like that energy is come back to me now, and I can finally execute on some of my goals. So I'm really excited about that.
I love, well, I'm sorry about your dad, but I do remember your panel. And that's when I met you, and you were talking about collaboratives and how, shout out to Lisa, I believe, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Lisa Woolfork,
yes, yes, they were giving you grace and allowing you, and that's important, right? Because grief, right? Some people, it doesn't hit them straight up. Some people choose to dive into work to deal. Some people, I'm an emotional person. When I'm emotional, I'm sorry, I can't create. Like, there are
yeah.
people who say my best things come when I'm emotional. Now my content creation comes best when I'm feeling good or I'm happy.
You
But when
know, that is a really good point that you make. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I think we are, there's a lot of emphasis in our society that's, kind of like on this deranged genius kind of, like this, madman kind of mindset when it comes to creation, that for some reason we want our creators to be emotionally disturbed, and we want them to create from an emotionally disturbed place. And I'm just not that girl. Like, I do not function well when I am in emotional distress. And so it took me a really long time to realize that and to like understand that about myself. And then an even longer time to accept that, like the reality of that. And so, like, now I'm just in a headspace where I'm like, look, I ain't got time for all of that. I don't
it will
enjoy
happen when it
feeling
happens.
that way. Like, so any people, any situations, anything that makes me feel and icky and just sad and depressed, and like consistently every time I engage with that thing, I feel this feeling of dread. I really just would rather not. And the thing that I think a lot of us miss is that I don't have to.
Exactly my point. And I feel maybe that's why I was so drawn to you, because I am really an empath and an emotional person. Like, I carry things deep down in me. Like, I can't, and I tell people, when I create content where I'm emotionally drained, or when I'm not enjoying it, you can tell from my content, because
Mm-hmm.
I take my emotions with me in almost every shit, even like whatever emotion it is. So you can tell where I'm creating, what level of emotions I'm creating that stuff from.
Yes.
And that's why this is also my last shit happens. Shout out to you who's being my last one for a while, because
Oh.
I'm taking a break from social media, because I started being like, I felt the need to constantly create, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm on social media and I'm constantly seeing people. And now, because of also the things I'm going personally in my life, I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling like social media is really draining me, because it's making me feel I should be where I know I should be, but I also know that in God's time, right? There's a reason I'm not there. But it's
Yes.
putting me in that position where I'm starting to hate my life and hate everything. So I'm like, I need to step back. So I'm
Yes,
like,
yes.
I
So I
can't.
I think what you're feeling and what you're like describing, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's you've given voice to something that a lot of people experience but don't ever really either they don't have the words to communicate it, like they don't really understand what it is. They don't really understand what is contributing to that feeling that they're having. Or they, they don't want to admit it, like they don't want to acknowledge it because, again, in our society and in our culture, is this, Black excellence.
Hustle vibe on
Yes,
24/7, you
like
guys.
everybody don't have to be excellent at all times, and the reality is that you being who you are and taking care of yourself and giving yourself what you need, that is excellence. Like we need to start normalizing and prioritizing self-care. And I know that sounds very cliche, because self-care in over the last 10 to 15 years has really become like a trending topic, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is that saying no is self-care. Like
Mhm.
that's not a trending topic. That is a truth. It's just a fact of the universe, is that taking care or saying no to things and being intentional about what you take on and what you don't take on, whether that be relationships or workload, all of those things, that is self-care. And I think it's one of those things that's a lot easier said than done. And I say that as a recovering perfectionist. I'm in recovery. He ain't done with me yet. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
mean,
I'm
at least you
learning
took the
that.
step. You took the step.
They say the first step is admitting you have a problem.
Yes,
You
there
can't
you
do nothing about the
go.
problem until you acknowledge that it is a problem. But for me personally, it has been quite a journey of being able to like admit that to myself and like acknowledge that, like, yes, I can do everything I think I can do, but also I need to be in control of how I do it, right? Like, or not
Exactly.
even need, but I get to be in control of how I do it. From the ideation part and thinking it through and the planning stages and all of that, because I need to be intentional as I'm planning so that I can be intentional as I'm executing. I say I still have a 9 to 5, and I joke with my coworkers all the time. When, like, let's say I'm working on something and I go to my calendar and I have something coming up in a couple days, and I'm like, oh Lord, I got to do X, Y, and Z, and then I go to start doing that thing, and I realize that I've already done it, and I say, you know what? I really love past me because she be thinking about future me, and she be like, future me is gonna want to wish that this was already done. So future me is gonna be very grateful when she sees that. And future me is always grateful. And
Amen.
future me always says, thank you, past me. You my girl. I fucks with you for real. You know what I'm saying? Because it's that self-care can look like, it needs to start in the planning phase, right? You have to be realistic about what you can handle, what you can take on. One of my biggest lessons has been I've had to give myself be more realistic about timelines,
Mhm.
right? Like, yes, I know how many hours it'll take me to get something done. And I do need to count those hours to make sure that, like, I'm aware of the amount of time it takes me to do things. But I also need to be aware of how much downtime it's going to require for me to produce at the quality and level that it needs to be produced at, for the amount of hours that it's going to take me to do that thing. Right? So if I calculate that a project is going to take me 10 hours, let's say I'm producing an episode, right? So just the production of the episode itself, the recording, the cutting, the script writing, all of that stuff, just that stuff, is not even talking about the pre-production, but if just that stuff is going to take me 10 hours to do a single episode, I know that the most time that I can sit at my computer is going to be, maybe 2.5 to 3 hours at a time. And then I'm going to need at least 12 hours to recover from that. You get what I'm saying?
So you
So
plan
when I'm setting my timeline, I need to include my break.
downtime. Yes.
I need to include my downtime. So yes, it's only going to be 10 hours, but it's going to take me a week and a half. It's going to take me 2 weeks. It's going to take me 3 weeks because I also have this thing to do. And I also, because I'm taking into consideration what other responsibilities I have, what other obligations I have. Realistically, how long is it going to take me to do this thing?
And I like that you mentioned that, because most people don't calculate the time, the break they need from doing that shit, and that's why we get drawn. And I like that you brought that up, because even though I'm stepping away from social media, it isn't like I ain't gonna be doing shit. No, it's like I feel like I'm at that point where, because social media is drowning me to this, to constantly creating content, I feel like I'm slacking on the behind the scenes, where I have so
Yeah.
much shit and I've put a deadline to them, and April is right around the corner, and I was like, oh shoot, I ain't got where I'm supposed to be, so I want to
Yeah.
be where you are, where I can thank my past me
Yes.
for where my future me is. So I'm like, let me take a step back from social media so I can walk through my behind the scenes, and then when I'm finally on the same level with the in front of the scene and behind the scene, I can start putting an actual time for me to be able to work where I'm not drained so much by social media.
Yes.
Because I'm not gonna lie, people say, oh, you just have to set a time, you can just go to social media for 1 hour. Clearly you don't know how social media works.
Clearly, you do not understand how social media works. Social media is designed
to
to keep
distract.
you sucked in, okay? Like that is its literal purpose, is to get you to do as much screen time as possible. And they're very open and upfront about, like, they will tell you that their goal is to keep you tuned in for as long as humanly possible.
Why
And
did
it works. They're very good at it.
there was a reason why it took me so long to open a TikTok, because I would see people constantly like, oh, I'll be talking to people. I'm like, why are you awake at 1 a.m.? I'm here trying to do my podcast. And they're like, oh, I'm just swiping on TikTok. I'm like, oh, this is why I don't have TikTok. But now,
Yeah.
because I run all my social media, so I have to, I'm on Threads, I'm on X, I'm on Facebook. So you go and post on one page, of course you get kind of into swiping, then you remember, oh, I still have 5 more pages to go, or 5 more
Yeah.
to go post, and by the time you come back from there, you're like, oh shit, let me go look at the comments, let me go look at the
Listen,
line.
because now you got to respond to the comments, and you got to listen. I was literally just having this talk with this conversation with a friend of mine, like right before we started recording. Like, the social media is just, it's a lot, and like for somebody like me, I go back and forth about identifying myself as a private person, because there, in a lot of ways, I am a very private person. Like, there's just certain aspects of my life that I feel like are just for me and the people who exist in my immediate orbit. You know what I'm saying? I just don't feel like every aspect of my life is for the world to see. Some things, I just want those things to be for me. And I'm the only one that has memories of those things. But I also understand the role that social media plays for someone like myself, who is, a figure in a community, that people know me, people like me, people want to see more of me, and people want to have that relationship with me, and I get that as well. But it has been a serious struggle for me to try to find that balance between how much do I actually feel comfortable with sharing, how much can I give and not feel like I'm being depleted in the process, you know? And I just haven't, I don't know that I have really found that yet. I mean, where I am right now, I feel okay with, but I do kind of feel like I need to do a little bit more. And I got some things that I'm working on and just other ways, like I can create in other ways that will generate social media content without necessarily feeling like I need to generate social media content, if that makes sense. Like I want to do the things that bring me joy and the things that I enjoy doing, because at the end of the day, that's what makes for the best content anyway, right?
Exactly.
But I want to be able to repurpose that content multiple ways so that I don't feel burnt out in the process. And so I feel like you know, like kind of zeroing in on what that might look like for me. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle for real. So I totally understand what you're saying and where you're coming from.
It really is. And it's funny because our struggles are kind of opposite. Because I used to be that person who I don't care. My business is on the streets. Like I want to show everybody what I am doing whenever I'm doing. Like I used to be that person, right? And then the more I started getting into being a podcaster, because I started podcasting in 2020, and then realizing that there's more to just promoting your podcast. You kind of
Mhm.
now these are people who now are listening to you and they want to know you up
Mhm.
outside of you. And then now when it started becoming like a necessity kind of thing, it became like, but I don't want to, like, kind of
Yes.
like, and
Yes.
now I'm going into that phase where even unless I'm in a conference, but if I'm out with my friends or whatever, I'll take pictures and videos, but I won't share them right there. Like
Mhm.
it will take me a minute. Like I was in Miami. Normally, I would have already posted when I was getting on a plane to when I had arrived to every night. But
Mhm.
there are people who might not even know I was in Miami because I barely posted, and I would only repost if somebody posted me and tagged me. But
Uh-huh.
now I'm in that phase where I kind of want to protect, like, be in the moment while I'm enjoying that, and not to take content, to take uh videos and pictures for, like, yes, in my head it's still everything is content, you never know when
Yeah.
you're gonna use it. But
Yeah.
also it's like not for right now I also want to enjoy the moment and just have
Yes.
these memories, and then
Yes.
share whatever I want to share later on, where we already, like, I'll be in my bed and sharing the things I want to share, because even if you end up pulling up, I ain't there, I already left, like I'm in my
Exactly.
bed.
Right.
And this also happened because somebody got shot after.
Yeah, like,
But
and it's a reality, like, you know, you never know what's going on. But I remember, I actually remember the moment that I decided that, you know, social media might not be for me, you know, I'm from New Orleans. And so I went away for college. So I came home for Mardi Gras one year.
where
This
did you
probably
go
was
to
about
college? Out of
so I
curiosity.
did my undergrad at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, go Cajuns. And then
Mm.
I did my graduate degree, my master's at Louisiana State University in Shreveport. We're the pilots. We're not the tigers, we're the pilots.
I can see you being a pirate and a tiger, you know?
Yes, yes. So yeah, and then I took some classes to get licensed in the state of Florida. I took some additional classes at Nova Southeastern
So
University.
where are you located now?
I'm in South Florida.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I live in the Fort
okay.
Lauderdale area.
All right.
So I was just gonna say, you said you was in Miami. I was like, girl, you should have called me.
Yeah, but I actually, I only came to Florida on Lee's funeral, but I was literally in Miami, and that's the thing. I stopped telling people I was coming because the few people I was hitting up, they're like, "Where you gonna be, man? Oh, you're 4 hours, you're 5 hours." Like Florida is too big for me. Like you're
Yeah,
like you keep saying, "Oh, when you come to Florida, let me know." And then when I come, everybody's like, "Oh, you're 4 hours,
right.
five
But they
hours,
shouldn't have
6."
said Florida. They should have said where they at. So if you in South Florida, you let me know.
Thank you
Okay,
for
that's like
clarifying
Miami.
that.
Yes, yes. Palm Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I got you, girl. I got
All
you.
right, now I
Um,
know.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
go
so
ahead
I,
with
I
your
remember
story. Yes.
I came home and I went to the Mardi Gras parade. And so we at the parade, And I looked for some reason on Twitter. I'm not a big fan of Twitter, but at that time, like every now and then I go through these stints of where I try to like force myself to engage in social media. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not, I just won't do it. And so I was going checking the Twitter, and a friend of mine was posting, he was also at the parade. And he was posting literally every 5 to 10 seconds.
That was me back in the days.
And I remember looking at the post, and I said, and the caption is like, I'm having such a great time. I said, but are you really? Are you really? Are you really enjoying yourself? Are you really like you're posting every 10 seconds, literally every 10 seconds? How much fun could you really be having? You're not
How,
even present in the moment.
how else the online people gonna know he's having a good time? How are people gonna know he's outside?
Like I was just like, so it was in that moment that I was like, if this is what it takes to be successful on social media, y'all can have it, because I want to be present in my life. I want to actually experience the thing. I want to actually feel the joy. I want to actually like talk to the people that I want to talk to and have meaningful conversations with people. I want to, experience joy, and I want to drink too many drinks, and I want to get my belly full, and I want to talk shit about the food, and I want, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to be present and in the moment. And I just don't see how you can
Be
do that
that.
when everything is content.
Exactly. And I think that was what made me also end up switching sides,
Mm.
because as I said, I used to be that person who was constantly posting, until I was actually unless I'm on conferences again, because you want to post whoever is on the stage, whatever
Mhm.
talks you in, so you can make those people who are not in the conference show up next time. But also even this time in podcast, I think because I became so busy with wearing so many hats, that I was even forgetting that. But people were so used to me, like, you're not at podcast unless you're on Paula's stories. So people will come and they'll take a picture of me so that I post on their stories. And sometimes because I am so much in a run or actually
Mhm.
enjoying conversation, I take the picture, but I don't post it right there and then. Like
Mhm.
I have, when I disappear to take like 5-10 minutes, then I start posting on my story, and people will come up to me. I haven't seen our picture yet. I'm like, calm down, it's
Yeah.
coming. but
Yeah.
I but I get, because that's what I'm known for at podcast. But anywhere else these days is like, I will sometimes I'll even be, it will come towards the end. Yes, I remember take a picture of the food, especially if it's designed well. If it's just normal food, but sometimes the presentation comes, you're like, oh, this deserves a picture,
Yeah.
so I would do that. But sometimes I'll be so much in the moment that even by the time we're leaving, I'm like, oh shit, we haven't even taken a picture. But
Yeah.
also to me, the pictures when I take, it's because this has come from back home, because I am from Tanzania, which is in East Africa.
Mhm.
Um, and I haven't lived in my country since I was in high school. I left and I've been moving around. I've lived in UK, Dubai, south of
Mhm.
Paris, like, so I'm constantly moving. So to
Wow.
me, pictures, it's those, like, it's what kind of covers me. Yes, they are memories, but sometimes that could have been the last picture I took with somebody, because
Yes,
God
because
knows
then you
when I'm
move.
gonna be, yeah, when am I
Yeah.
gonna be home again? Or even when I'm home again, they might be married. They might, like, it's not the same when
Yes.
I left them. So for
Yeah.
me, pictures and videos has always been a ways of memories, because I'm not sure when next I will see you, or if I
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
sometimes even like last time I went home, I hanged out with my friends and I didn't take pictures. And then when during COVID, I lost a lot of my friends, and I was trying to find pictures, and I was like, oh shit, the last time I went home, we really didn't take pictures. And
Yeah.
that to me is sad, because I feel like when I do, because I am that person, my friends will even tell you, when you come to my house, like, even because this is just my new place, I frame pictures, I print pictures, I put them on the wall, I have albums. even when I had a fire last year, one of the things I was so mad was about my albums, my pictures, and I'm the person who keeps letters and cards. I save them.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, some of these people, God knows when I will have a child. I'm 35. I do not have a child yet. And that's by choice because I haven't found an amazing baby daddy. Whether we are married or not, I ain't about to have a child with just no random baby daddy because I see all these baby daddy, baby mama dramas on the streets. No, I want a peaceful, whether we are together or not, I want somebody who I can co-parent with peacefully. And otherwise, I am good, baby.
Yes.
So I'm like, I don't know when I have my kids, when I'm telling them these stories, at least I want to have the pictures as well of the moment. Oh my God, this is when we did that. This, like, it goes with it. So I've learned to just now to take pictures without having the need to share.
Yeah. Like I have a ridiculous amount of photos in my phone, photos, videos, like just the whole 9 yards. And a lot of times, like I don't take a lot of photos and videos as compared to most people. Like I have one friend and everything is a photo op, and I'm just like, girl. And so
My
like I
friends do
go
that to
somewhere,
me
she's like, take pictures, Latrice. And I'm like, we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you know what happens. I can't make no promises. I'll let you know what happens. But I have, when I do take photos and videos and things like that, like I have those things and I'm always grateful to have those memories. But that's, like what you're saying, like, those are my memories. Those memories are for me.
Yes.
It's, I feel like the parts of myself that I do share with the world, those parts are well documented, so like I shared about that I was going to be on this show, this show itself, this recording is the documentation that I was here, and this is going to live on past either one of us, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so it's like, this is the documentation that I was here. My legacy is it can't just be about what the world gets to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, it also, that I want my legacy to also be something that only a handful of people can tell you about. You know what I'm saying?
And that's amazing. And it's funny because, not funny, but it kind of is, because after COVID, because I was that a person who always wanted to have people around, constantly around people, who hated being alone, constantly jumping into relationships because I hated being alone. But then after COVID, I had to learn to be by myself and to be my own best friend, and I'd gone through my breakup, and to really take the time to learn, like, okay, all these relationships are not working. It can't always all be them. What am I also doing wrong? So I needed to really work on myself. And that's when I realized I also kind of like the private life. Like, I moved into this new place since February. Only my mom knows my address, and she probably doesn't even remember it because she was driven here and then taken back. But nobody has been here. Like, my only other friend came for the first time on Saturday. But like, I've become this person who, I'm really protective of my surroundings and my moments. Like, I share them when I want to share them, and I'm learning that it's okay even if you share them 6 months down the line. It doesn't matter. You don't have to share them when it happens or when it's happening. Like, there's no rule. And I'm a person who, like, even right now when I'm creating content, I'm finding my old pictures and using old pictures and old videos to create content. Nobody gives a fuck when it was made.
Nobody at all.
But one thing I would say, my friends are very grateful. They used to hate that I would want pictures or take pictures of everything. But whenever I would make that video, because I'm very good at the content creating part, like when I sit down and start compiling the shit and making it, and they're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I'm so glad you made us take this picture. Or when they need pictures for certain things, because I delete all the pictures on my phone because I hate seeing my phone memory. Like, when I go to my pictures, if I see 4,000, I'm like, why the fuck? So I have a Google Drive where every time I go out, it has a file. Like, let's say me and you go out, dinner with Latrice, date and place. And then whatever pictures and videos we take, I dump them in there, and then I delete everything from my phone.
Oh, wow.
So I remember my brother and his wife got married. They got married at the courthouse before anybody. Like I was the, because me and my brother, he's my best friend, we told each other we'll be each other's best man. But God forbid you get married in Africa where your best man is a woman and you are a man, like the child, like nobody takes that. So they got married in America in a courtroom with just me as his best man and his only, and the wife, the family was here, but just the dad, sister, and brother and mom. So they got married, but we didn't tell the entire family that this boy was already married. And then they planned their big wedding. So as they were planning their big wedding, I couldn't share those pictures because, of course, what do you mean you're standing next to him? But that was
okay. When you saying okay, girl, listen. I thought you was saying something else. So you saying that y'all didn't tell your family that y'all went to, that he had already gone to the courthouse.
We
Y'all
didn't tell
just
him.
planned
We didn't tell them about the
ceremony.
Yeah.
Listen, but you know what? That is more common, I think, than a lot of people realize. Like, it's a lot of people out there that have 2 wedding dates.
And the big wedding is really for the families. My brother himself was like, I'm already married, so I really don't want the big wedding. But of course, the family wanted the big wedding, so they did it. But then they were starting to look for pictures, and they didn't have any. And they remembered, oh, Paula, you were taking so many pictures. Can you have some pictures? So I just shared the file, and they're like, are you sure you want us to see everything in this file? I'm like, I categorize all my file. You only have access to that. This is why I do it. But that, and now everybody, like, anytime we go out, they're like, Paula, you don't want a picture? I'm like, oh, now y'all are asking me if I don't want a picture. But I used to be annoying when I used to ask for pictures.
Listen.
But it's funny how much we have spent talking about this. But we're already 36 minutes in. I can't believe it.
Listen, shit happens. You know?
When you're having a good time, you're having a good time.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit. Talk to us about Pod Melanin, because I fucking love that name, and I'm like, oh my God. Yes. Sometimes I wish I would have gotten into this world a little bit earlier so I can steal other people's names, but but it kind of suits you, you know. And sometimes people don't realize when they pick names or they start something, how that name actually ends up being their character or really was for them without knowing them. So before you tell us what Pod Melanin is all about and everything, I want to know how did you come up with that name? Because I like knowing how people came up with the names of their businesses. And
yeah, so I actually went through about 3 different names for my business. And that's the other thing about social media. It's like you think you done figured something out and then you post about it and then you're like, oh shit, I got to change that, you know? And then you change it, you know. So I came up with the first name, STS Productions, because I'm a therapist by trade, right? And so my first business was Samson Therapeutic Services, which started off as a private practice, a mental health private practice, but has kind of morphed into I do like speaking and curriculum development for mental health, right? I'm a therapist. And STS Productions was allowing me to, you know, create a production company that's connected to the original company. And so I ran with that name, got the logo made, everything like that. I filed with the state of Florida. And then when I went to file on the federal level, it kept rejecting it, but it wouldn't tell me why. And so when I got nominated for the Sonic Bloom Awards, well, I did get nominated, but that wasn't when we won. This is my communicator award here. Yes, thank you. When we won the communicator award on the webpage where they list all the winners, I went on there because obviously I want to see it, you know, in black and white. And there was a company on there called STS Productions for a different project. And so I went back to the federal website and I searched for that particular one. And I was like, this is why they keep rejecting it, you know, because it already exists. It is a literal podcast production company. Like, you ain't gonna be able to do that. You got to do something else. So I had to dissolve that. And then I came up with Eden Rock Productions. which is the street that I grew up on.
Mm.
And my mom still lives in that house on that street today. But Eden Rock was already taken as well. And so I got so discouraged, and I was just like, okay, I like you said, I needed to find something that felt like me. I needed to find something that really could communicate like what my priorities are in the podcasting industry and what it is that I hope to accomplish. And really, when I look at all of my work, I've been blessed to really be able to have a very diverse portfolio in podcasting. I've done a little bit of everything in podcasting.
Yes.
And I'm very, very grateful for that. But the common thread across everything that I've done is that it's blackety black, black, black. You know what I'm saying?
All the way black, 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 black,
All
black,
the way black,
black.
black, black. Like I love black people. I really do.
We love you
I love
too.
black people, and y'all love me back. And that, I think, it just, I don't even have the words to fully communicate how much it really does mean to me, like that y'all love me back. It is a mutually beneficial relationship. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my God, Latrice, I've never met anybody who was say like anytime I mention Latrice, it's like good vibe. And I don't know if you saw on threads when I posted about you coming. Shout out to White Label America, Mr. Raf, who I don't like
Yeah,
giving
Raf,
credit
yes,
to because
Raphael.
that's my friend and me over there. But it was like, you are around podcasting loyalty, black loyalty. I was like, and you know when Ralph starts talking, right? So
Yes, I love him so much. But the community has been very good to me. And so that's why I just keep giving y'all what I got to give. You know what I'm saying? And so, the idea of doing Pod Melanin, I was just thinking, because you want it to be catchy, from a marketing standpoint, it needs to be something that's going to stand out to people. And I was like, well, I want to put melanin in there. And so I was like, well, maybe let's do melanin pod. And I was like, no, when I get a Google search, it's a lot of podcasts with the word melanin in it, at the
mm-hmm.
beginning of the show, like it's the
Mm-hmm.
first word,
SEO, yes.
and so it's a SEO nightmare. And shout out to Akila Tompkins, because Akila was like, girl, don't do that, so and so I said, well, okay, like melanin pod, or melanated pod, or like, podcasters melanin, or something like that. And then I was like, Pod
But
Melanin.
melanin.
Like literally, I was just sitting on the sofa and I actually was in the shower, is actually what I was doing. I was in the shower and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, I said Pod Melanin. I was like, I think that's it. I think it's Pod Melanin. So I did a Google search, and I found that while there was like some variations, there was not anything that was exactly Pod Melanin. So
This
for
time you did your research first
I
before
did my
filing.
research in advance. Yes, I did. And so for SEO purposes, it wouldn't be a battle to build my SEO, because it wasn't really being like, nothing really was strongly up at the top on it. And so I just went with that, and I designed the logo in Canva. And I love the logo. We went through about 5 or 6 different iterations of the logo. My inner circle, I text Anna Deshawn and Nicole, and I'm like, hey, what you think about this? Adele, Coleman. Like, I was like, which one you prefer? And they helped me to narrow it down. And then I was like, okay, this is the business. And I knew that it was the right name, because there was a clarity that came with it, like you said, like when you hear Pod Melanin, you know what this is, you know what you're getting, what to expect, right? And it just feels like home. It feels like that's what it always was supposed to be. Yeah.
I love that. And shout out to friends who give constructive criticism because they want to see us win, and for us taking it in, because sometimes, we grew up in that place where when you give somebody constructive criticism, you're a hater, right? You don't want to see me win. Why are you hating? No, we want to see you win. That's what we're telling you. And
Yes.
also, shout out to Anna Dishan because they just celebrated their 11-year anniversary, if I'm not mistaken.
Seven,
Seven.
7 years,
Shit.
7 years
I'm sorry.
married.
7,
Yes.
yes. I just saw that on social media. Was it today or yesterday? One of the days.
I
But
think yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
yeah.
And even that has been such a blessing. Like the relationships that I've made in this industry have just been amazing, because through Anna, I've met Anna's wife, and she and I have our own relationship. She just styled me that photo, my new headshot, my brand new headshot. Yes. She styled me for that photo shoot. She's a stylist. She has her own company, the Kea collection. She does sunglasses, earrings, all kind of stuff. And actually I didn't have time because I was running late, but I was gonna put my earrings on. I just ain't had time. But these are Kea collection earrings. Okay. They are
Nice.
super cute. KeaCollections.com. Okay. But anyway, but like Kea has come into my life and kind of expanded my world and has been a great friend to me, So it's this world for me. Podcasting is self-care as well.
And that's what I love that you say that, because I started my podcast in 2020 because of my depression. And
Mm-hmm.
I literally, the first time I spoke at Podfest, even my last case study I did, my TED, my Pecha Kucha I did this year, um, was how podcasting saved my mental health. Am I
Mm-hmm.
cured from my depression? No, but am I better because now whenever I've found ways and support and all these different types of things to help me go through it because of podcasting. And what people don't understand is these collaborations, these communities you get into, if
Mm-hmm.
you are intentional with them and the connections you make, they become more than just podcasting family. They
Mm-hmm.
become really your family, the community. I can't speak
Mm-hmm.
so like Podfest, Black Podcast Association, Women of Colors, like these people who really want to see you win, Empowered
Yeah.
Podcasting, Podmatch, like uh they just don't, they want to hear about your podcasting journey and what you're doing, but they also really want to know how are you doing as a
How are you
person,
doing? Yes, yes.
which
It's
most
a
businesses
great
I haven't
community.
seen. Yeah, which most places, whether you go to the book clubs or the actors or those people who are always trying to compete, but here people want to collaborate, people want to
Mhm.
help you, people want to know you're doing well, people advise you to take a fucking break when you see
Yes.
you know?
Yes, yes, very much so. And it is important to have those connections, like, and not only just to make yourself a better creator, a better podcaster, a better producer, a better sound engineer, like whatever your thing is, it makes you better at that thing. But I think also as you get better at those things, it makes you feel better about who you are, like being able to have like creative expression. And like for me, I think one of the things that has been extremely healing about podcasting, when it comes specifically to like creative expression, is really being able to test the limits of what I can do. Like my first podcast was Unicorns Talk Podcast. And I always say that's the podcast where I learned how to be a podcaster, right? Everybody, this is my first baby, right? I had a Logitech headset, okay, that I went down to the Walmart. Really, I was on a military base at the time, so I got it at the NEX, and I made it happen, and that just kind of opened me up to this world. And through the process of learning how to podcast, I was like, well, I think I can do this for real. Like, I enjoy it. I like the way it makes me feel. I like the way it feels to hear the finished product, and like to take an episode from the idea all the way through release, and then to have people listen, and then to have people come back and not only tell me that they've listened, but tell me how they were impacted by what they heard. People want to send messages, and people jump in your DMs, and even people in my everyday life. Like, I haven't produced a new episode of Unicorns Talk since August 2019. Right? August 2019 was the last episode that I produced of Unicorns Talk podcast and released. And people still listen. People still, like, I had someone that exists in my world, in my mental health world. She started listening, and she texted me. All she was like, I'm on episode 33. She was like, I started at episode 1. I'm now on episode 33. And girl, you didn't have to read me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like, I'm on the Erica Badu episode, the Hoatian 101 episode is really what it was. It's Issa Rae episode, actually, Insecure. And
Ah,
yes. And she was like, I got some more, I could add to this conversation. I thought of some more while I was listening. Like, people really still engaging with the content, even though there's been nothing new. So I decided to relaunch that podcast because, at its core, thank you, at its
the
core,
world is demanding it.
yeah, I think so. But at its core, Unicorns Talk podcast helped me get through a very difficult period in my personal life, and every now and then you will hear me talk about it. I very distinctly remember there was one episode. I did my outline and everything. I did the script and all of that, which I don't really do scripts, but I did my outline, and I sat down to record it. But I had so much going on in my personal life that I just was like, you know what? I had something planned for y'all today, but I'm just going to say what I need to say today because this is where I am. I'm in this headspace, and y'all just going to have to bear with me. And I just talked about what I was dealing with, and what I was thinking and what I was feeling about whatever. I don't remember what the exact topic was, but like, it was a huge part of my own personal healing journey. And I feel like I'm in a space right now, where I'm also going through a healing journey. It's a very different, like, I'm healing from grief. I'm grieving multiple situations and relationships and people in my life right now. Some that have passed on, like my dad, and some that are still physically here, but I'm come to the realization that I have to let go
Oh my
of
God, me
those
too.
relationships, right? And so that's
God,
a
we
it's a
need to
loss
talk after
nonetheless.
this.
Yeah, it's a loss. And I need to grieve those losses. And so I've decided, and at the same time, like, I've discovered podcasting in a way that I never really experienced it before. And like, I have skill sets now that I didn't have then, and I have relationships now that I didn't have. Like, I'm a seasoned podcaster now versus an indie startup hobbyist podcaster when I first started it. And so I'm interested to see what Unicorns Talk podcast would look like now that I'm a seasoned podcaster. And so I decided to bring it back. I'm kind of rebranding it. It's still the same premise, but it's a little different at the same time. And I'm excited to, just to offer up what I have to give at this phase in my life.
I'm excited for you, and rebrand is always important, and I can't wait to check it out. And there's things you say there where I can relate, right? The thing I can't, like, these days, half of the people who are in my life who I talk more to
Mm,
are people who I've met through my podcasting world compared
Like,
to
for
my own
real.
family and friends.
Yes.
Like, those are the people, and we don't just talk about, we talk about creating, we talk about checking on each other, our kids, our personal lives, our mental health,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, because we understand each other more than the actual people. And I wasn't expecting that when I was starting my podcast. When I was starting
Uh-huh.
my podcast, I thought, I need something to get me out of my depression. It's COVID. I need something. So to me, it was like, this is a hobby during COVID, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
when COVID, when life started moving back, I was going to work and everything. I was still doing it. And I remember when I started my podcast, my brother, shout out to my younger brother, Alvin boy, that boy, he would, every time an episode comes out, he'll send me a voice note on WhatsApp. I would always look at his message and be like, not right now. I need to be on mental space, because he'll be telling me what I did wrong, what I should do right, what I should
Mm-hmm.
change. And the
Mm-hmm.
voicemail started to be 2 hours, and
Oh.
then 1:45, and then 1:30, and then one day there was no voicemail. I was
Mm.
like, yo, you didn't listen to the episode? I was like, no, I did. And I liked it. I'm like, no voicemail. I was like, you're finally doing everything. There's nothing
Yeah.
more again. So to me, to see that progress, and even one time he reached out to me and was like, you know how you used to stay up late at night for like 6 hours, not sleeping, and you still gotta go to work because I work
Mm-hmm.
retail, editing, making sure an episode comes out in perfection, because I self-taught. I taught myself. I woke up,
Me
let's do a
too.
podcast,
Yes.
and Googled everything and
And
went with
figured it out.
it.
And figured it out. Yes.
and that's
Yes.
and that's why I don't want to take away, because some people are like, oh, once you get there, remove your old episodes. I'm like, no, let people see from where I started to where I am right now, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I didn't get here to where I am because of, no.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I went from spending 6 hours to editing to actually being on a bus going to work on my Anchor app, editing it in 30 minutes.
Oh,
That's
wow.
how good I got.
Yeah.
I didn't like doing videos. I started doing videos. And then I was like, screw videos, let's do lives.
Yeah.
But it really does give you that courage that, like, you think you can't do certain things, or you assume you can't do because you're not on that level, but
Mm-hmm.
you have it in you. I used
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy content creators and say, oh my god, that must be so easy. All you gotta do is shoot video, create videos, put them up, and you get to travel and live this. Until I started creating videos, and like, I'm officially a content creator, and I don't really see how I was feeling those content creators being like. I mean, there are levels to content creators, because
There's definitely levels. Yeah.
once you start making the money, all you gotta do is show up, and you have people just doing
Yeah, because you have
everything.
you have people that can do it for you, but the
Yeah,
reality is that most of us are not there. And so we trying to
exactly.
keep up with, it's not a realistic thing, and even like where I am, like I do recognize that I need to post more. I'm because I'll go 2 weeks without posting nothing. I actually, girl, I could go a month or so without posting nothing and won't even think twice about it. Because it's not my thing. It's not something that's ever really on my, well, I do think about it because then I feel bad because I'm like, oh, I probably should post about this, or like I still have an unboxing video from when I got my
Oh my god,
award.
I love doing unboxing videos. That's like my favorite shit.
I've
I
recorded
start
it. It's on my phone somewhere. I could send it to you if you want to edit it for me, girl, because I
Latrice,
I
I love creating content. Send your shit. I'll edit it for you, and I'll even post it
listen.
for you. I just hate
Listen,
doing my
I
own
I
shit. I don't
don't
mind.
don't threaten me with a good time now, Paula.
I'm
Listen,
telling you, bring it, bring it, bring
listen. We
it.
have to talk. Not tonight because I got another thing after this, but we gonna talk. But what I have realized, in all seriousness, what I have come to realize and just allow to be true for myself is that my measure of success looks different than most people's measurement of success. And so I feel like people will make you believe that success in any industry at this point in life, right? At this point in time, looks like, 10,000 followers on Instagram, 200,000 followers on TikTok. You got to have, 20,000 subs on YouTube, and you got to get this and the metrics of this and the metrics of that. And, I definitely understand the place that those things serve, right? Like that they hold, and the relevance that they serve, right? But that is not how I determine success. Success for me is when I show up at Afros and Audio in person, and people are excited to see me and genuinely happy to meet me for the first time. And oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you. And I'm like, girl, I can't believe I'm meeting you. You know what I'm saying? Like when someone that I look up to also looks up to me, that's a mind-blowing kind of experience. And I've been blessed to have that experience. And that is what success looks like for me. It is the mark and the impact that I have left on people's lives. And I know that regardless of if I have 1,600 followers, which I think I have like 1,600 followers right now on Instagram, that is a good number for me. I feel like I'm okay with that number. But, for business and branding, you want the number to be higher. I get that as well. So I don't feel, I, let me correct that. I have felt that pressure, and literally, like in the last 2 months or so, I'm choosing to relieve myself of that pressure. I'm choosing to let that go, because I know that my people are out there, and I know that I'm connected to my people, and I'm leaning more into what works for me and what feels right for me, which is meeting people in person live. I enjoy the energy of people, and I enjoy being in a room, and like it's just something about that in-person energy exchange.
So true. So true.
You just can't beat it. And so I said, I'm going to stop trying to force something that is needing to be forced and just lean into the things that come more naturally. So I've been planning some in-person events, a couple of pop-up events, and things like that, which is, I have a plan for the next 2 to 3 years of like
I
how I
hope
want to roll
Atlanta
this
is on
out.
your list, because we briefly talked about this at Afros. We need to put Atlanta on that list of
Yes,
your.
Atlanta is on my list. Everybody's like, "Is so and so on the list? Is this one?" And I'm like,
I
"Listen,
mean, we all
if
want a
y'all
piece
can
of
find me the funding for it,
Latrice.
I could put all of y'all on there. Okay, I could put all of y'all on there. I would love. I want to go everywhere. I want to see all the faces. I want to be there. I want to come see y'all. But also,
But we'll
budget
travel to
is
where you are.
non-existent.
We'll travel
Okay.
to closer to where you come, even
Yeah,
if
and
it's.
that's what so I've kind of come up with a plan for myself to kind of start where I am. I need to start where I am, and then kind of grow it out and build it out as I can. And like I said earlier, I just feel like I'm finally in a headspace to, because I've been planning this for 2 to 3 years now. Like I wanted to get started last year, and then my dad passed, and that just kind of went out the window. And so I'm finally in a space where I am beginning to execute on these plans. Hallelujah. Yes.
Amen.
And it just feels really good. I'm very happy to be in this space.
And I like that. And I like that. I think we all have this. I hate when people, oh, the norm is, there's no norm. Everybody should define success to what they are. There are
Mhm.
people who I've seen with less followers doing amazing shit, and people with big followers and nothing. And to me, for the longest time, I was like, I don't care about the followers. I want engagement. Like,
Yeah.
because what's the point of having so many followers and there's no engagement? As long as I
Yeah.
have engagement on my post, even if I have 500 people, I'm happy with that. I
Hmm.
remember even on threads when I went and people were like, oh, follow me if you're this, I follow you back. And I actually posted something and I said, for all those asking about this follow back, after you follow back, what's the next step? Are you collaborating? Are
What are
you
we
working
doing?
together? Or are we
What are we
just
doing?
following to add our numbers just to have more people? Because
Listen,
I'd rather
let me
have
let you in
somebody.
on a little secret. I have actually been unfollowing, because you remember when
Me
Clubhouse
too.
was a
Me
thing?
too.
When Clubhouse became a thing during the
Listen,
pandemic and everybody was
I'm
going
still on
crazy about the
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, I will admit that I loved Clubhouse. I thought Clubhouse was going to be, and I mean, I guess in some ways it has become, but I think it had the potential to be something really big for podcasters in particular, because of the format. It's an audio format. It's an audio based format. But you know, as time goes on, as they all do, it became the same thing as all of
People
the
no longer
other.
had a lot of time during the
Yes,
COVID.
like
People had
it
too much time. There were so
yes,
many
yes.
rooms.
Like once those algorithms start kicking in, it doesn't it's not fun anymore. Like I should be able to control what I see. Why
Hmm.
does an algorithm get to
So
tell
many
me?
ads and shit.
It's
I'm like,
ridiculous.
I'm
It's
like, why are you
ridiculous.
on my page? I don't even follow you, and you're suggesting me to follow. No, if I want to follow them, I'll
Then
find
I
them.
would.
But
Exactly.
but speaking of Clubhouse, one
Yeah.
minute. Empowered podcasting Clubhouse room still runs Monday to Friday, 7 to 8, and we're having our first in-person event in Charlotte, North Carolina this June
Oh,
28 to
congratulations.
29. And it's amazing because now Dominic is a moderator in there, Walter is a moderator, Krista is always in the room. We have started getting Creighton Patel in there as well. So we've been growing, and they recently turned it into a podcast as well. So they put it out on other platforms as well. So
Yeah.
but that's the only time I go to Clubhouse. Like literally.
Yeah. I might have to revisit Clubhouse. I don't know. I'm gonna give it another chance.
Come to our
Um,
rooms Monday to Friday, 7 to 8. It's all about podcasting. We have different topics and we bring guests. Actually, we should bring you as a guest. Yes, I'll talk to Mark
I would
about
love to be a
that.
guest. Yes, I would definitely
Actually,
do that.
before I know you said you have something else, and it's funny because this conversation went so quick that even half of the shit I was gonna ask, I haven't asked. How much more time do I have with you? How much more time do you have to spare for me before, so that way I
About I
can?
can do like maybe another 10 or 15
All
minutes.
right, all right. I'll find
You want to do
two.
like a rapid fire? Let's go.
Oh, but you had something to say first. Go ahead and say what you were gonna say before I do
No,
my
I was
rapid
just
fire.
gonna say I don't know, girl. I don't forgot. That's all right. Let's go.
Okay, let me go to my question. As a
Okay.
mental health counselor, first of all, I'm very curious how you got into being a dual licensed mental health and becoming a therapist. And
Okay.
then, as a mental health counselor, how have you seen podcasting being utilized as a tool for mental wellness and healing? Which is amazing that I had this question because we kind of dived in a little bit.
Yes.
You see, I'm
Yes.
telling you, I was focused on this shit.
There we go. There we go. So, how I became a therapist. I'll the long story short is that I kind of feel like I didn't choose therapy. Therapy chose me. I just literally kind of fell into it. At freshman orientation, I came across psychology as a major, and I had never even considered it before. I really knew what it was, and I read the description and I was like, that's very interesting. It's, the study of human behavior. And I've always been a people watcher. I've always been interested and really just fascinated by human beings. There's so many different types of human beings in this world. It is mind boggling to me, the reality that that in the history of the universe, since the beginning of time, no matter when you think that is, there has never been another you and will never be another you
Amen.
ever. That's just absolutely fascinating to me. And so I don't know that I could have done anything else or could have been anything else. It just was where I was supposed to be. And so when it comes to mental health in podcasting, I think that there's a lot of transferable skills there. A lot of therapy is storytelling. The stories that we tell ourselves really are at the root of a lot of the issues that we experience as humans. And so, what we as therapists really do is first and foremost, create a safe space for you to be able to tell your story, right? Which is what a good podcaster does.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then actually listen to your story, which is also what a great podcaster does. Um, but then also maybe give you a different perspective on the story that you've told yourself, right? Which I think great podcasts also do, you know? And so there's so many similarities there that it just was a natural progression. I think that podcasting as an art form has been extremely helpful to the overall like reducing stigma around the idea of mental health. Like it has made mental health conversations just a part of everyday dialect, and it's just something that is not so taboo to have a conversation, because it ain't nothing to start you could hear any day of the week, you could hear somebody start a conversation, say, I listened to this podcast and they said such and such and such and such and such, right? I was watching Diary of a CEO podcast on YouTube the other day, and it was a sexologist was his guest, and she was talking about like all of these myths around orgasm and intimacy and things like that, like really looking at it from like a mental health perspective, so not salacious, but like really let's take a look at what's going on in our minds when it comes to sex and intimacy. And she, so anyway, I be getting sidetracked sometimes, girl.
I'm like, you give me 15 minutes.
I know. And I said I was going to be quick, but anyway, the point that I'm making is that she was saying that you can introduce a difficult discussion about sex by saying, I was listening to this podcast. You get what I'm saying? So that way it makes it a little easier to transition into those difficult topics, because there's a podcast on everything. There's a podcast for every conversation you could ever need to have, for every relationship you could ever hope to be a part of, and for every situation that you could ever possibly experience, for better or for worse. There's a podcast episode that can help you get a new perspective, that can help you move forward in that area, or that could help you to close a door that needs to be closed, so I think that podcasting is a great tool for mental health, and I think it has been I like to call it the great equalizer, because it makes this information available to people that might not otherwise have access to that information.
And that's so true, because I remember back in the days you'll have to refer it to movies or series, but lately the movies and series feels like a repetition just in a newer generation, but everything seems compared to a podcast. And I remember on my podcast, TalkShitWithP, I've had accidental swingers, and anybody who has been at Podfest, who these are. And literally, they started having the talk about the opening up their marriage because of a podcast the husband was constantly listening on his drive to and from work. I was like, I'm listening to this podcast, baby. So what do you think? Which I love. Also, it's funny that some of the questions we kind of already discussed. Like I was going to ask importance of authentic connections and community building, but we kind of talked about that, how those connections become more than just normal connections and family. So I'm not going to ask the question, but I'm going to ask a question on something that you actually also do. You curate immersive live events and shows. So what inspired you to create immersive live events and shows for podcasters and brands to connect with their audiences?
Yeah. So what inspires me now is just what I said earlier, is that I'm just fascinated by human beings. And I believe that because of my background as a therapist, I understand humans, I think, a little bit differently than the average producer. You know what I'm saying? And so it brings me joy to be in a position to bring joy to the lives of other people. What inspired me to get into it in general terms, like in a really practical kind of way, is that I was asked to. It's wild. I started working with Afros and audio during the pandemic. I was supposed to be a speaker, and then when the pandemic happened, Talib sent out an email asking who knew how to do virtual. And at that point, I was doing 3 to 4 live streams a week. And so I knew how to do virtual, you know. And so I responded and I was like, I do. And then, you know, the rest is history. From that point on, I was a part of the Afros and Audio family. And then after, while I was at Afros and Audio, before I left Afros and Audio, I came into contact with Lisa Woolfork with the Stitch Please podcast. And
I
Lisa
love
had just,
her.
I love Lisa. Lisa is one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my life. And that's very, I think, that's a big thing for me because I literally meet people for a living. So, you know, there's that. You know what I'm saying? But Lisa is hands down one of the most interesting people I have ever met in my life. I love Lisa. Um, and Lisa had reached out to me after some of the work that she saw that I did with Afros and Audio. And she asked me to help her with planning a live event that she wanted to do. And I said, Lisa, of course I will help you, because I had kind of started getting the itch to try to want to do more things. Afros and Audio kind of introduced that idea to me that this is something that I can do. And I was ready to kind of stretch and see what I could actually do, you know, like what I was capable of. And then this opportunity with Lisa just landed right on my lap. And so we planned that first show. I believe we went to Seattle the first show. And I loved it so much, and she loved it so much. And after that, she was like, "You are officially my live event producer." And I was like,
Oh, okay. Say less.
all right, you know. And since then we have done two more. I think we did 3 cities altogether so far: Seattle, Chicago, and Atlanta. And I have produced with Lisa over 8 episodes, about 8 episodes I've produced with Lisa in those 3 different events. And it's been amazing. We actually are planning one, about to start planning one right now. And so that's how I got into it. It was just somebody reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, would you mind X, Y, and Z?" And me just kind of trusting my instinct that this is something that not only can I do, but that I think I can do it very well.
And that shows, that's the thing. Sometimes we don't believe in ourselves as much, even though we know we have it, but people
Hmm.
see it. For me, it was after Podfest, when I got that award at Podfest for Community Hero Award. To me, it's just something I'm doing because I love doing it. But and most of the times you don't think people are noticing the shit you do, you know,
Hmm.
just by being but just by you being you. Like I was just being Paula. Like
Yeah.
I do what I love. I like talking to people. I like making people comfortable. And especially when I find a community that pours so much into me, I want to
Hmm.
pour back. It makes me want to pour back because why wouldn't I, right?
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah.
getting all this and to be given the award, I was like, yo, I want to continue being in places where I am seen. But it was also a lesson like, these people believe so much in me. I'm here thinking I'm this small fish in this big pond, but they're actually people sitting in rooms talking about me and what I bring to the table. That should show
Listen,
you.
but it's a blessing. Like
It
it's such a
really is.
blessing. For it's I think it's one thing for people to support you by way of you know, I'll give her a little download, you know, I'll listen to her stuff every now and then. You know, like I was talking with one of my friends earlier about like black movies and stuff, and I'm like, even if it's a movie that I'm not really interested in seeing, I'm probably going to go see it at the movie theater. I
Just
hate
to
movie
add the
theaters.
numbers.
Yes, just to
I
add
went
the
for
numbers because like we have to support black. You know
there
what I'm
was that
saying? Like
brotherly love of Kiki Palmer and Didi. I still will never forget that movie. I was like, you're lucky
not
y'all are
brotherly
black.
love. That was so specific.
I remember till today that movie. I was like, it's only because y'all
That
are
was
black.
so specific. But yeah, like whatever that is for you. But at the same time, like it's one of those things where um for people to come to you
And offer an
and support you
opportunity.
by saying by like pouring into you, Yes, I need you to support my projects because I'm trying to grow something and I'm trying to build something and I'm trying to do something for the community. But more so than anything, I need you to support me
Mm-hmm.
because it becomes a cycle. I feed off of that energy. And there's times when I don't feel like I'm as good as y'all think I am. There's times that I don't feel like I can get the thing accomplished, or I want so badly to give y'all something that's great and worthwhile, that it can feel like a heavy task at times, because I care. I care about um, you know, what impact is my work gonna have on the community, on y'all,
Mm-hmm.
on the people who love me and support me, because y'all give me so much.
So
I
true.
just want to do my best to try to give that back to you in the work. And I can feel a little heavy sometimes. And so when you show up and you say, girl, I love you so much, you are so amazing, and I just appreciate you for this, that, and the other. Or when you show up and you say, like, somebody asked me for my autograph once, and I was just like, me, girl, you want my autograph? What you talking about, girl? And she was like, yes. Like, I was like, okay. Like, I could not even believe it. Like, that was, it reminds me, like, the community got my back. Y'all believe that I can do the things that I'm setting out to do. Y'all believe that whatever you get from me is going to be the best that I have to give. And y'all give me grace when I need grace. And so that level of support is just, it's
And
beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
and undescribable. And I want your autograph too. And it's funny because I've already met you twice, but and I have a picture, but who wouldn't want your autograph, right, Latrice? But also saying that, right? I remember last year when I went to Podfest, it was my second one, and I was still feeling kind of newish, but not newish. And I went to the expo hall, and I was talking to one booth, and as I introduced myself, the guy from the next booth came over and was like, wait, you're TalkShitWithP? I was like, yeah, why? Because now I'm starting to be scared. Like, is somebody trying, because he's like, oh my God, I've been meaning to meet you. I've been wanting to meet you. You're so cool. And I'm like, huh? And to me, that was like, wait, I'm new here. How do people even know about me? Like, what do you mean? So those things do brings this loveness. Like yesterday, on Saturday, I interviewed this girl, Rebecca, widower. And then yesterday she sent me a voice note, a voicemail on Instagram. She was like, yo, my mom was listening to us on our while we were live, but the entire night I kept on walking next to our room, and she has been listening to all your other shit. She's officially a fan. She loves you. So I sent her a voice note today, and it was so beautiful. She got so excited. She's like, I'm out of words. I can't believe you sent me a voice note.
Yeah.
But to hear people actually love your shit and go back, even Buzzsprout, I haven't produced an episode for Talk Shit with P since before Christmas last year.
Mm-hmm.
These 2 weeks, my downloads have been going out of the roof. I'm getting emails of 300 downloads, 400. And there's one person, because now, shout out to Buzzsprout and their app that they finally gave us, because now you can look at it nicely. And there's one person, I feel like I have a new fan who went and listened from the trailer, because from that trailer to my latest episode, I've gotten one. So I know this person literally went and listened to every. And I'm like, I must be keeping you entertained if you have to listen to all, because my episodes are kind of all different and shit, but you literally listen. So to me, it's like there are people out there who are literally wanting to hear from you. And that shit, and I know one day if I meet her, she'll be like, I'll be the one, because I talked about it and I said, yo, if you're the one, please let me know, because I really want to send you some swag or something.
Yes.
That means a lot to me, right?
Yes.
But it's just amazing at that. But I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you gotta go. So as we end this today, because I'm definitely gonna have you back, because clearly we still have a lot to talk. But I also have your number now. And funny enough, Latrice always responds to my messages after midnight, and I'm always also awake, and she'll be like, it's been a long day, but she's texting me at 1-2 a.m. I'm like, go
because I
sleep.
just be like, so I turn off my notifications. I do not get notifications from
I'm
any
on not
social media
disturb
app.
throughout. Me neither.
Yes, like none of my social media apps, I do not get notifications. So I don't even know that a message has been sent until I go on the app, right? So that's first and foremost. And usually I'm not even getting on the app until late at night, once everything is calmed down. But let me tell you that we talked about self-care, and I guess this is a perfect way to kind of wrap this all up. I think, the world that we live in today, it makes us feel like we have to constantly be going. And if you not, if you want to be a bad bitch, then you got to do this and I'm like, bitch, I'm tired.
I'm a bad bitch, but I'm
I'm
gonna go sleep. Fuck
I'm a
y'all.
bad bitch on this sofa. Okay. I'm a bad bitch on this sofa sometimes. And it's not that I don't want to go out. It's just that my everyday life is an adventure. I always have things that I'm doing. I always have places that I'm going. People enjoy talking to me. I enjoy talking to people. So like when I leave the house, I'm talking, I'm engaged the entire time until I get back home. And so that when I do get home, that is my time to just kind of relax and be quiet. And I try not to bring social media into that until I got my stepdaughter, my baby. That's my baby. She live in Jamaica. And so I gotta, she wants her attention every day. And she wants her bedtime stories, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So after I do what I need to do to be present for the people in my real life,
Then you give.
then I shift over and I say, okay, now what do I need to do? All right, I got to make sure I send this email because I was supposed to send it last week. And I told that girl I was going to send this email and I ain't sent it yet. And I don't want to be that person. So I'm going to hunker down and do this right now. I'm going to respond to this message. I'm going to do this because this is the time that I have available to do that. And I'm okay with that.
But it's funny whenever you respond, like however late, it's like I sit right there because I'm also awake. I'm like, because I don't even check emails like that. I hate emails. I don't check emails. My WhatsApp is always on mute because all my family is on there. They're annoying, and I
right.
love them. My phone call itself, unless you're saved, you're still on silent. Like, but if no number I don't have, it goes straight to voicemail. Messages, I don't get notification. I have to open the message app to see if I have messages. Like I'm a person
Yes.
who my phone doesn't even have a ring. I don't remember even listening to a ring
Listen.
unless I'm expecting a call or somebody say they'll call me back and I don't want to miss it. That's when I turn the ringer on. But
Yeah.
everything, I'm always on silent. Like I will respond when I want to. I will reach out because we also have this thing like, oh, she's on social media. Why isn't she responding to my message? Because I don't want to respond to your message right now.
Because I don't feel like it. And that is
Exactly.
enough reason why.
But as we end this, please let the people. First of all, I want to say thank you so much. I had an amazing time with you, and I mean, I already knew it was gonna be a good time, but I'm just saying thank you for bringing the good time in reality. So as we end this, let the people know where they can find you. If there's anything you have coming up that you need support, that they can support or show up for. If there's anything you need us to know that you're working on, future plans, let us know. And also an advice for people out there who are having a hard time approaching collaborations with brands and organizations to amplify the impact of their podcast limitations, because you're good at that, reaching out to for collaborations to brands. I mean, where is that? Look at all this list of collaborations. We have BPA, then we have BPA needs, like, we can't have BPA for.
I know. I always say BP Association or BP Awards. Like we got to do better with these acronyms. Okay. We got to do better with these acronyms.
Oh.
But I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been Amazing. You always have such good energy, and I am very sensitive to energy. I'm very much an empath, and so I feel people's energies. I think maybe a little just really deeply, you know. So you always have really great energy, and so I appreciate you for asking me to be on your show, and for just kind of creating the space for us to be able to have this conversation. So thank you for that. As far as where people can reach me, so I am on Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards. I'm also on TikTok as Rich by Marriage. I'm just letting y'all know right now, I don't be posting like that. Okay. But I do. It is a great way to keep up with what I have going on. So anytime I'm doing a show or doing an interview or launching a new project, if you want to know what projects I have that I'm working on, when I release new episodes, things like that, then follow me on Instagram, because that is the primary place where that is shared. I'm working on right now the website for Pod Melanin. And so that's going to be coming very soon for anyone who's interested in working with me. In the meantime, my DMs are open on Instagram. I do check my DMs, but just remember, like I said, I might not respond to you immediately because I do not have notifications on. And so give me a little bit of time, but I'm gonna get to you. And then, you can definitely go to my website, latricesampsonrichards.com, which is under construction as well. I'm kind of shifting it over from mental health to, to podcasting. And so that transition is happening as well. And yeah, I mean, that's it. If you see me out there in the streets, say hey. I'll say hey back. I
Ask
promise.
for ask for autograph. But yes,
Yes,
the advice for the people.
yes. And then I think that advice that I would give, so I think it's important first and foremost for me to be very transparent and honest about the fact that honestly, the relationships that I have right now are not, or that, like, the collaborations that I have been blessed to be a part of, I did not go seeking those out. They were offered to me, or they came to me in some way. Like I said, the opportunity with Afros and audio just kind of presented itself, and I took advantage of it, and became a part of that team. But in some other cases, those offers were made to me. So I don't necessarily have I haven't necessarily had to seek out relationships, but I do find myself now in a space where I'm being more intentional about seeking out relationships. And I think the number one thing that I have learned and am learning in this journey, and that I think would, is a really good takeaway for anybody who might be interested in partnering with brands to create events and things like that, live shows, is that you have to be clear about what it is you're doing, and you have to be unwavering about how it is that you do that, right? And what I mean by that is, and this is something actually that I learned in my time with Afros and audio, is that uh, if a brand is going to work with you, it's because you have something that they find valuable. Okay, whatever that might be. You have something that they find valuable. And the reason that you have that thing, which is your audience, okay? And the reason that you have that thing, that audience, is because of who you are and how you show up. Your audience is attracted to the content that you create from your mind. So a brand does not get to come in and change the way that you do what you do, because when you allow them to change what you're doing, you're you're allowing them to interfere with the relationship you have built with your audience. And so they can give feedback, they can make requests, but at the end of the day, I'm doing what I want to do. the way I think it needs to be done. Now, I can give some concessions if it's okay, if it's reasonable. Of course, we want to be flexible in that way. But if you start to feel like a brand is trying to change the core or the essence of who you are, or how you do what it is that you do, then it's just not a good fit. And we have to be okay with walking away sometimes and believing that another opportunity will make itself available that is a better fit for who I am and what it is that I do, Um, this I remember I used to do military counseling. And this older white guy told me one time, most gangster shit anybody ever told me before in my life, I swear to God. But it turned out to be very true. I didn't fully understand it at the time, but I understand it now. Scared money can't make money. Scared
Mm.
money can't make money. At the end of the day, if you are taking jobs because you're scared not to, you're never going to get to a place that's sustainable. You have to be intentional about building a brand that feels good to your spirit, because that's the only way it's going to be sustainable. You might have some success early on, but it's not going to last because it's not authentic, and it's hard to play a character 24/7. So,
Amen. So true. Not all money is good money. And something Dominic today reposted of his older self when he said, shout out to Facebook and these memories. Something about sometimes we ask for opportunities, and then when the opportunities come, we forget what it comes with it. Just like
mhm.
money, we ask for this money, but what does it come with? If you have to sell your soul, then quit while you're ahead, because it ain't
Mhm.
gonna stop. And sometimes we think that, oh, it's just gonna be this once, baby. Once it's just once, it's never this once. You should look at the people join the gangs and shit. It's never this once. It's never one job.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
forever thing. And once you sell your soul, you sell your soul, baby.
absolutely.
But thank you so much. Thank you for all those who are live with us and engaging. For those who are gonna watch later on, thank you for hanging out with Shit Happens for the last episode until we are back in June. This is
Yeah.
Shit Happens, where shit always happens, with the one and only award-winning producer, Miss Latrice. Thank you for joining us today. You
Thank
have
you
a
so
great
much.
day, baby.
You too.